talk about critics, I'll talk about critics. So I have a very friendly commenter. He's actually not a critic, a very friendly commenter, but I think usually I get posts like, we talked about this, like, is Hamnawa a hip hop page now? What is happening? Right. And I think there is a general trend that is not just linked to me, but rather, one, is this music good on a global scale? There's a lot of hip hop being produced in Pakistan, but is it empirically good?
Yeah.
And that's one question. And I have made the exaggerated claim, may not be exaggerated, but I made the claim last week that this is probably like the best era of Pakistani music to want to be in. And I think that is a controversial claim to make, especially for people our age.
Right.
And so I just want to pull that out a little bit and discuss it. First, what are your thoughts on these claims?
No, I agree. I would agree because even if I don't see the evidence in the music itself, just because I haven't listened to a lot of songs, I think just from a environmental and system access based level, it would make sense if this was right. Fewest gatekeepers, most access, most level of inspirations coming in, most democratized process ever. So it would make sense.
Yeah. Lowest bar of quality is quite high.
Yeah.
It's like the home production is actually not far off from getting access to studios. The democratized not just in the sense of can you upload it to YouTube, but democratized also in the sense of your barrier to actually producing high studio quality international level music is a laptop. When it used to be a studio like Mikal Hassan studio.
Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of his studio in time, but
yeah, Digital Fidelity Studios, which unfortunately went through. And so there's a campaign which people should support if they can.
Yes.
But so that barrier to entry is much lower. So that's really good. I actually think the number of artists, so I think you and I mentioned that I am tracking like 300 artists that are roughly 300 that are active now. And
borderline,
I don't remember a time.
Yeah.
Right. I don't remember borderline. I like to use the term borderline. I find that charitable.
We're friends.
I don't remember another time when there were
I don't
hundreds
think
of artists
cumulatively, like mainstream, if we think about it, I don't think we can get to like 200 even before this era.
If you go to like the Pak Music Archive, okay, let me double check my claims live and we will find out if
what
if
is
this
Pak
is correct.
Music Archives?
Pakmusic.net.
Oh,
this is from the era of you may be familiar with apniisp.com.
Yeah, and Pak Media Revolution.
Pak Music, Pak Media Revolution. The Pakmusic.net was a comparative website. So they had two archives. One was called Mainstream and one was called Underground. Okay. So Underground had how many artists? Let's see. Okay, not bad. It's like 770 underground artists. That's crazy. Okay, not bad. So maybe my claims are 235 artists in their entire underground folder, which includes everybody from like a large period of time, like everybody in the 90s to the early 2000s. So it includes everybody from Adil Umar to a band called Oj, which is different from current Oj.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think it's like early Oj. Clearly, because Oj was not around when PakMusic.net was around. So I'm assuming that they are different. To a band called H2O, to an artist called to Irtash. Like I feel like these are all like very different bands playing at slightly different times. And their mainstream archive had 289. So their total list of people, like there was an early 2000s website
about 500
that has a total list of 500.
Yeah.
And I am tracking 300 performing at this present moment that are active. So it feels to me like this is pretty good, if not the best. Quality music is quite high because most of these underground things are like really bad recordings, like janky recordings off of TV or whatever. These are not like songs that you would put on Spotify. Whereas all of the 300 that we are tracking right now are songs that you would put on something
they
like
are
Spotify.
On Spotify.
So it feels like, right.
Yeah.
So it feels like, except for a few people that are now only on TikTok, which is a whole different genre.
We talked about it last
TikTok
time.
rappers.
Yes.
So, but that I feel like, at least in my database, is still a minority. So for me, it feels like it's a really interesting time to be in. And just like the number of plays people are getting, online. Like that's crazy. Maybe concerts wise, like if you look at videos of some of like the old big concerts, they are huge. And we don't have that level of gig happening as frequently, maybe. But this is also kind of like anecdotal. I think we would have to go in and like make a strong argument whether or not this is the case. But for me, this is a good reason to believe that it's a good place to be. Secondly, I think that the types of music that are being made, like the variety of music, is quite high now than it used to be. Like there's all the way from classical, all the way from Qawwali, Coke Studio obviously exists as the behemoth, all this branded music. Then this like crazy hip hop scene that is not part of any of the mainstream stuff. Then the whole rock scene continues, not as heavily as it did in the early 2000s, but it's still there and develops. And then there's all this like, there's two genres that I like to call alap pop and alap rock, which is basically singers in front of Western bands, which is a whole like Sajad Ali is like an alap pop person, right? Like Shumaila also in a sense is like kind of alap pop. So for me, there's so much going on that it feels like it's a good place to be.
In terms of
Would you agree?
active current output, if we were to define like a KPI for this, active current output, Jaina, in those terms, it does seem like this is the most.
I feel like we have just re-emphasized our big corporate roots and completely again killed our legitimacy with the musician biradri that we are so decidedly trying to court. Which is first we said don't release albums, you are making our job hard. Then we said what are your KPIs? October podcast cancelled.
Or gone public. Who knows?
One or the other.